Hey, welcome back to 2DG. We've got another Let's Talk. What's this one about?
This one is about how to taste. Seems pretty elementary, right? Well, let's start this out with
Maybe it's how to improve.
Yeah, let's start this out with a little story. So, at least speaking for myself, when I first started to drink, and it was only after I was the age of 21, I hated beer. Hated it. Did not like anything about it. A lot of people start out that way. Now, I also only basically knew Bud, Miller, Coors for the most part. And then to my immediate knowledge, Shock Top was one of them, which is Budweiser as well. But anyway, I digress. Most people don't like beer for the most part when they start.
That's what they'll say anyway.
When you first start with beer, I'm assuming you're going to start with one of the big ones. Most people do. No harm, no foul. However, if you're like...
do better.
Yeah, you can do a lot better. And if you're like me or this guy or her way back when, and you want to get things that are better quality, just better overall in a lot of ways, there's a lot of steps that you should take to try to fully appreciate that. So when you're normally drinking shit beer, it's all about drinking as much as you can, as fast as you can, to get as fucked up as you can, because normally they're low ABV stuff. So when you enter into a world where you can get a 15 and 20, 17% beer, it's completely different. You want to treat it differently.
It's no joke. I know a lot of people that, they go for value and quantity over quality. They just don't care.
Yeah. So this is a guide to help you enjoy your journey, expand upon where you're already at now, or just kind of learn what the hell we're talking about sometimes when we describe beer. We use some out of,
help boost your confidence too.
Yeah, encourage you to try new things.
Now, let me start off. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say so, and then I was going to give it to you.
Oh, okay.
Jumped the gun a little bit premature.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that as you start embarking into the world of finely crafted ales,
good beer,
don't worry if you're not pulling out all the notes that everybody says you should, because you're going to be overwhelmed with flavor, whether it's hop flavor or malt. You're just going to be so overwhelmed that, by the way, needs added.
You're gonna write on your phone screen.
You're gonna be so overwhelmed that you're not gonna be able to pick out those flavors. It's kind of like an assault on your taste buds, and you've got to get used to that first.
Don't get discouraged. So on basically,
I forget what I was gonna write now.
Okay, I'm doing this. You can write. You have to look into the camera.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
One of the things that I don't like to do, and I encourage you to do it at first, is I don't like to take everything on the bottle or can as the spoken word.
Right.
I like to take it with a grain of salt. So like, I consider myself to be better than some people and not as good as others. So I'm not going to get necessarily everything that's on there. So I kind of like to go in with an open mind.
Well, not only that, you're going to learn from our list that regardless of what you taste, it doesn't mean you're right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It is driven based on you and your experiences. So, while it's nice to read the label and get an idea of what you're supposed to, or watch a video and find out what you're supposed to be, that's only according to that person or the taster there. You may have a fully different experience. And that's fine.
Let's start with how to take care of the palate, which, if you don't know, God help you, palate is your tongue, your sense of taste. So, first is cleanse your palate with neutral food/liquid. So a good thing to do, obviously, is like water. Obviously, rinse everything down.
Not only that, also rinse your glass between styles of beers and stuff.
So if you, for instance, go from something like this, which is a nice deep barley wine, you're not going to want to go to a lager necessarily without A, rinsing your palate, and B, rinsing your glass. It's going to be completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're going to hear people say, don't drink a palate destructive IPA and then follow it up with, a stout or something like that. It's contrasting too much. It's going to mess with you. You're not going to get everything you need. So
if you have a big stout, you can sometimes overpower that big IPA.
Yeah.
But on average, you want to save your big stuff till the end, or else give your palate a chance to rejuve,
Now, while you're doing this, and it's okay to eat, so people are kind of encouraged to pair beer with food, but don't eat anything too sweet or salty, or drink anything too sweet or salty. So avoid sodas, avoid, kind of pretzels unless you're trying to go for longevity.
Pretzels are pretty good at cleaning your palate up, but the point is that if you're going to be tasting and you're going to be wanting to pull all the notes out, don't go have a steak dinner with these sauteed mushrooms and onions that are highly salted, because it's going to dry you out, and that's all you're going to taste is saltiness.
I disagree with that. I would more point you towards potato chips. Something super greasy, it's going to coat your palate, hella salty, a lot of artificial flavors in there. Meats and things like that are more robust, they have more depth.
Sure, but I was thinking more of the mushrooms and onions that they salt like crazy to sweat them out.
I would say more cheese than anything.
Yeah, that too. The salty cheeses will destroy you.
Not to say that cheeses aren't good to pair, but when you melt them, get them down to a saucy or a melted cheese consistency, then it has that kind of coating effect.
The point of it really is that if you load up on any one thing, you're going to deaden your senses to that in everything else. You're just not going to pick it out. For instance, if you have a salty goza and you just ate a bag of salty chips, you're not going to notice the saltiness in the goza, and it might detract from your tasting.
Now this one's kind of something you can't necessarily control as much, but make sure your sinuses are clear if you can. So if you have if you have allergies, maybe take your allergy medication. If you're going to do something with tasting or something like that, maybe avoid some pets if you have allergies or something like
Things that may congest you.
Yeah, it's the same as eating food, right? So most of what you taste is through
even cold weather.
Yeah, it's through your sense of smell.
Yeah, that is key. That's huge. But even cold weather, you go out in that cold weather and you're breathing it, and it can swell your sinuses. Give them time to recuperate before you start drinking. But try different foods. Okay, you want to expand your palate, you've now protected it and you've trained, you've positioned it to work, but you need to train it. So try different foods. If you just eat the same stuff all the time, the same processed garbage, you're not going to have that wide a range of experience. If you want to describe or detect an umami flavor, you have to eat foods that have umami traits. If you don't eat mushrooms, no offense. If you don't,
not a big mushroom.
If you don't eat a lot of mushrooms, you may miss that earthiness in the beer. You may not make that correlation, and that is what tasting is. It's that correlation to what you've experienced, and that's why it's different for everybody.
And with that, that's where you can start to read labels and kind of get a direction. So fruits are a big one, whether it be super bright citrus fruits, lemon, lime, oranges, or your more stone fruit flavors, apricots, peaches, tangerines, or your darker fruits, plums, cherries, raisins, that kind of thing. So it all varies through different styles and different,
Celeries even. Celery seed, stuff like that. So, I'm just thinking of like coriander and the gozas and vegetable-based beers, to appreciate, there's so many different styles of beer. Go look it up. There's so many different styles. To fully appreciate all those styles, you have to have some commonality with what those can be made out of. When you go get a raspberry, or a cherry beer, and your only experience is those Tom's vending machine,
Jolly Ranchers,
cherry. You're gonna go, this doesn't taste like cherry at all. It tastes gross, or whatever.
Eat real food.
And there's not just a type of cherry. There's Bing, there's Michigan sours, the super sours. There's black cherries. There's tart and sweets and. Try all these different fruits when you're going through the grocery store. Pick a little bit up each week and get a variety. Yeah. Train your palate to recognize those different flavors.
Now, when you do start, if you're into it, drinking beer requires 2 steps for the most part. So smell is first and foremost. A lot of people, when they get a new beer, they'll just go and drink it. Don't do that. Smack them in the hand if you can. Not at the risk of spilling beer, though. What you want to do, first and foremost, after it's poured properly, is immerse yourself in it. Smell it.
So glass style even can make a huge difference.
Huge difference. We'll get to that. But give it a smell, because that's when your senses are going to first be activated. So you're going to get, a lot of times your fruity flavors, your, alcohol for better or worse, your dark, malts, flavors, coffees, toffees, caramels, anything like that. That's where most of it's going to start. That's what's going to get your tongue ready. It's like, this is what you should be expecting. Here it comes.
That's why a lot of people might wonder, like, why are you swirling? And it's like, it's to introduce and aerate it a little bit and fill this chamber with those aromas. And then
you see a lot of wine connoisseurs and stuff doing. They're not just doing it to be an asshole. They're doing it because it actually does provide some sort of value.
And also, a lot of times you'll aerate through your mouth when you do take.
God, okay. It does provide an actual service, but maybe tone it down.
But those are things that can help enhance that, because smell is the majority of your taste. So as you're aerating, you're also atomizing some of that, and getting those flavors to flow and fill your cavities with those flavors.
Now, when you're tasting, you would think that this is a rather elementary thing, but a lot of people do it wrong a lot of times. So if you drink wine and you're getting into beer, perfect. You already know how to do it, unless you're drinking some shit. You already know the basic principles of it. But if you're, smashing down crappy beer, you're taking shots all the time, you don't know what to do. When you drink a beer, you don't want to just let it run down the center of your tongue, straight down the back of your throat. You want to actually let it develop. So, take a drink, let it sit in there for a second, get it on all sides of your tongue, let it sit there, swallow, kind of breathe after the fact. You want it all around your tongue. You just don't want to go, shoot it back, because then it's going from the entry place to your mouth, straight to the back of your tongue, down your throat. You're not going to taste anything. It's missing 80% of your tongue. You've wasted it.
Not only that, but after you've swallowed, don't think you're done.
Yeah.
You're going to continue to taste that, and it's going to come back. It's going to liven up, maybe. But I mean, these are things you keep tasting even after the fact. In fact, keep tasting and paying attention. Oh, I poured it, I tasted it, now I'm done, I can just chug it. No, as it changes in temperature, it's going to change in flavors. In fact, this right now has a much deeper roasted flavor coming through.
I like to, when I first put it in there, after I let it sit for a second, I like to swallow a little bit of it. Keep some of it in there, because then that's when it's going to come back up. You're going to get everything mixed in. To me, it helps. But,
yeah, I agree.
So next, you're going to want to rinse and repeat. So what that means is, and especially for us, if you've watched our Brewhaven videos or a beer festival, Dark Lord Day, whatever, always keep water on hand. In some festivals, if you get like the small sample glass of water, you can constantly rinse it out, stuff like that. You're going to keep yourself fresh. Not only that, but hydrated at the very least.
We're not saying you have to rinse after every drink, because you don't want to. You want to let that beer develop on your palate. But when you're done with a beer or a style, you definitely want to rinse and start fresh. And swallow some of that water so you don't get dehydrated.
And that's kind of something he touched on too, is temperature is big. So the more a beer warms up, the more flavor you're going to get. Now if you're drinking shitty beer, Coors Light, Miller, Bud, that kind of thing, the warmer it gets, the grosser it gets. But if you're drinking like a stout, or hell, even an IPA for that matter, the warmer it gets, the more flavors start to develop, the more they kind of concentrate, that kind of thing. So don't be afraid to get a beer that's warmer. And that's kind of like what English beer or English styles do, like your ESB, or more of your English style, like porters and that kind of thing. They're served warmer, and they do that for a reason.
I'm going to say also, when you're tasting, pay attention to how the beer is made. Some beers will be very secretive, and some won't, but you'll eventually begin to understand. Like, I think actually this Firestone tells you it's a British ale yeast. It's a house, so that means it's mutated somewhat. They've changed it, but then from what you're going to buy from your vendor of yeast, but you'll start to understand the nuances of the yeast. The yeast add a lot to flavor and aroma, so you want to learn to taste different. I used to eat hot pellets at work. I would get bored, I would crack open a packet of hot pellets, and I'd suck on that for a while, and I'd taste it and breathe it, and it'll destroy your palate, but you'll get familiar with the characteristics of a specific hop or yeast or whatever. Don't drink yeast at work, but whatever.
God, that'd be gross. Now, next thing you want to do, get it out of the can, get it out of the bottle, get it out of its original container. There's a reason that most people pour beer into a glass, and it's not just because kegs are kind of the most popular way. But even kind of going against what some of the manufacturers do, like The Alchemist, for instance, Heady Topper, which we've talked about it a ton on this channel. They say on the can, drink from the can, leave it in the can, whatever. To me, you don't get the full effect. When you pour it out of the can, now granted a lot of it will drop off faster, but when you pour it from the original bottle or can into a glass, it's going to release everything. It aerates it, it gets it going. To me, the more intense flavor is had, the flavor is better. Now, albeit for a shorter amount of time, but to me it's worth it.
If I ever get a chance to have Eddie Topper,
well, I'll drink it from the can.
I'm going to drink it straight from the can like they say, but I will bring some back and I will put it in a glass and see if it makes a difference.
But yeah, and that's the thing.
Be proud of what you're drinking. Show it off. Get it out the can.
Out the can. So here's the other thing. So craft beer or, bourbon or wine or whatever, it's a culture. People want to know what other people think. They want to share. They want to do all these things. So compare and contrast. You should never be ashamed if you don't quite know. Now, if you're going to say, and most people that do this like shit beer, they're like, oh, it's too hoppy. Hoppy isn't a fucking description for the most part, okay? It's something that is just there. How is it hoppy? Well, it has a ton of grapefruit and pine to it. It has a lot of, dankness to it, or I don't like that word, but it is a fact. It has a lot of stone fruit to it. Hoppy isn't a thing per se, okay? It's just not. So if you're not willing to go past that, then you should be ashamed of yourself. But if you are willing to try to learn, try to get descriptions, don't be afraid to learn from somebody.
And I've had people tell me they don't like the grapefruity IPAs and then pick a beer that I have that's clearly says grapefruit on it and say, that's really good. Yeah, you're going to run across some stuff you don't like. That doesn't mean don't ever try it. That doesn't mean wipe out an entire segment of the beer industry. I don't like stouts. Well, you haven't had all stouts. You don't know what you're after yet.
It's different from areas of the country, areas of the world, areas of the state even. It's just different interpretations of many different things.
Most people, and they say, I don't like beer. And that's because they haven't tried anything but a couple. And granted, here, drink this zombie dust. It's not like normal beer. Well, it's still going to ruin them. I mean, there's so much hoppiness, it's going to kick them in the gut, and they're going to go, that is gross. But they'll eventually get to the point where they realize that it's gross, but it's way different than what I'm used to, and now what else is there? Some people just, they don't want to. Don't force them. Maybe give them something every now and then. Try this, you'll like this, I think. And
a lot of people, too, when they do decide to venture out, a lot of times it'll be at like a bar or a restaurant. And this is where food pairing kind of becomes a major thing. So you can eat things and then drink beer that it doesn't work. So, for instance, let's go back to his steak comparison. Mm-hmm. If you're eating a steak, you want to drink a beer that's probably darker. So in most cases, like wine, for instance, you're going to go with a Merlot, something darker red. Meats, you can do porter, you can do stout.
Smoking
beer. Smoked porter, something like that. Something darker, full body, that kind of thing.
Conversely, though.
Well, on the other hand, if you're going to eat seafood, something from the ocean, you want a lighter beer, you want something like a lager, you want something like a Goza, you want something, along those lines that's crisp.
I would go citrusy IPA. If you're,
Depends.
A lot of people put lemon on their fish. It works. That's a good idea. But I will say that, that steak, though, can be really greasy and coat you know what I mean? You got that animal fat and all that stuff coating your mouth. Yeah, a darker beer is going to work really well with it, but I'll also say that a nice Two-Hearted will cleanse your mouth again and give you the chance to, I do dig,
I'm not big on contrasting stuff for the most part.
It's not, well.
And even if you're going to eat like spicy food, you're big into like Thai food or curries or something really spicy, that's where you want to throw in an IPA. That's when you want your palate to just get salted because it works well with the heat. It works well with the spice. And you'll be able to fine tune that and not to say
flavors.
Yeah, and not to say that our way is the best or what we prefer is the best. We're already differencing our opinion. So no one is completely right, but there are things that work better than others.
So definitely talk to other people though and find out, like we do. We don't always agree with, he'll say a flavor and I'll go look at him weird, and he obviously looks at me weird all the time when I say what I taste. But everybody's experiences are different. You want to expand your palate. You want to share your ideas and be like, well, here's what I taste. What do you think? And then that doesn't mean you're wrong if they don't agree with that's what you taste. But also, when you get someone who's got a fairly good palate, a deep palate.
I'd go more than fairly good. But.
Well, I wasn't saying you specifically. But they'll kind of, you might taste something and go, boy, I'm just not getting what it says I should get. And somebody will go, well, I taste this or this. And then they might relate it to something, maybe you're not familiar with banana cloves and all that stuff, but somebody goes, dude, I'm totally getting Runts candy. And you're like, yeah, okay, I relate to that. Got it. So you want to talk with people and share notes, you don't have to actually break out the notes, but like, what are you getting out of this, man? Here's what I'm getting,
That's where strategies come into place too. So if you're going to for instance, for us locally, it's Brewhaven. If you're going to a place that has a beer tasting and you pay $60 or something like that to go, but you get 3 hours to drink as much shit as you want. There's over like 200, breweries there with tons of different varieties. Sample as much as you possibly can. Or if you're going somewhere where somebody's hosting an event and the beer is free, try as much as you can. You don't have to spend an enormous amount of money to try a whole bunch of different things. And there's a lot of places, liquor stores, supermarkets, that kind of thing, where you can build your own six-pack. That's probably the best way to do it. That's how I started doing it when I first started, before I started getting accustomed to things. Like if you don't know, grab one of each, throw it in a six-pack crater, go home, you can try it. So you're not out a ton of money because you have 5 more of a beer you don't like.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
You are going to pay a premium for quality beer. So the last thing you want is to get saddled with 5 more of that crap.
Yep. I've had beer that I've absolutely hated. It's just a fact. And, that's the best strategy, to learn what you like. So, like, if you love IPAs, but you hate lagers or you hate wheat beer, cool. Throw those on the back burner. Focus on what you do like. Because if you expand your palate, there's so many different flavors in a given style that you can start to branch out from there.
Never exclude those, though,
yeah,
permanently, because you're always going to find, for instance, I can say I don't like lagers, but then you get a hoppy lager that somebody's put a new twist on, and you're like, man, that's completely different than the standard lager. I like that. You got to keep trying. Try.
So I don't think there's a style now that I don't like or I can't appreciate.
I don't think so either. We even drank Rocky Mountain oyster beer.
And testicle beer.
It's good stuff.
That being said, just don't get intimidated. Don't get discouraged. Try it. Not to say, if you enjoy the big 3 or whatever, there's no hope for it. I'm just kidding.
No.
But if you like what you like, then who cares? As long as you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
But if you want to try, those are some tips for it.
And I'm going to say, if you are a craft snob, don't completely ignore the common stuff,
I drink bad beer.
Try it all.
Haven't in a while.
There you go. I hope some of these tips help you to improve your tasting, or at least improve your confidence in your tasting, because only you know what you're tasting.
Yep.
Nothing's concrete. It's not a science. It's an art. Sciences can be proven. I can't prove your taste. We might be able to improve your taste, though.
Do it easy.
Take it easy.